Hello everyone, so today we're going over chapter 18 of One Piece titled Buggy the Clown Pirate. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more daily One Piece content. So as always, we begin with the cover art. So the cover art today is on board a ship. Luffy is now taking the role of Zoro, basically, of him laying in the background taking a nap. He's on top of like the rails of of a ship, and Nami is sitting down with a lemur that's wearing glasses, has a little bow tie, and a little like graduation cap. And she's teaching the lemur how to read a map. Teaching a lot about like navigation and just like that sort of stuff. She also does have like mugs near him that has like a little like corset around it. So that's pretty funny. I like this. I don't understand why they picked this for like a cover art, but screw it, why not? Pretty fun. So on to the actual main chapter. So we begin with Kabaji, Zoro, Monji, and Boodle all laying on the ground. Zoro is asleep. Kabaji, Boodle, and Monji are all knocked out, unconscious. And then we kind of move to Luffy and Buggy just kind of like squaring off, and Luffy just like kind of asks, "Red hair, do you know Shanks?" And Buggy sits there. He's like, what's this? Looks like you are considerably interested. I know him, but why do you want to know? And Luffy's gonna ask, where is he now? And Buggy's like, where? Well, if I know, then I know. And if I don't know, then I could also not know anything at all. And Luffy's like, what are you saying? Are you an idiot? And Buggy's just like, what you mean, idiot? You uncivilized buffoon? And Buggy just kind of like raises up his hands with his four daggers, and he's just saying, I'm saying that I'm not a nice enough guy to tell you information that you want to know, even if it's your last wish before you die. And Luffy just kind of like brings back his arm, saying, then let's make you say it by force. And Buggy just kind of laughs, and just like, ha ha ha, before you hear it, you're going to be dead. And he just kind of like stomps his feet. And a blade pops out. And Buggy says, even though you are rubber, there are still some things that won't bounce off you. And Luffy just kind of sits there and is like, that's right. Buggy just kind of goes, Bara Bara, windmill, as he just kicks up his entire torso, both with the blades on like the tip of his heels. And Luffy just jumps over it. And the Buggy just kind of says, moving here and there in the air is most likely impossible, Buggy yells as he just throws all of his daggers at Luffy. And then Luffy just kind of like reaches his hand, grabs a pole, and uses it to kind of like spring himself away from the daggers. So this is just an example of like how Luffy is as a fighter. Not he's not smart in terms of just like average intelligence. It's like he can read. This he can. I hope so. But like in terms of like a fight, Luffy's very intelligent and knows kind of like how to position himself and kind of like knowing how to like utilize his powers in the environment to his advantage. So I kind of like the fight release showing that like early. The bug guy says, "Oh, so you can do things like that? How interesting!" And then Luffy just kind of replies saying, "You're an interesting person too. Go go pistol!" As he just fires his hand, and Buggy just kind of like slips it like a nice little just like slip, and it kind of goes like right past his face and just stretches, and Buggy just kind of sits there. It's an interesting ability, but an arm that stretched to his limits is full of weaknesses. And Luffy's just grabbing at like a window, and Buggy's like, "I'll tear it to shreds," as he tries to like slash into it. So basically, yeah, Buggy's also is again not a dumb person. He knows for a fact of just like the weaknesses of rubber. It's like, oh yeah, he can bounce off like blunt force, but this knife though, he isn't gonna be able to bounce it. So Buggy is able to at least like wrap himself around and kind of like lock it in place. However, as I said, Luffy's not a dumb person when he fights. So then you just see the next scene, Luffy flinging forward and he's just going go go, and Buggy's just surprised. He's like, huh? And then like Buggy just kind of yells bar emergency escape as Luffy just yells scythe, and Buggy just pops off his head and just has to float as Luffy basically tended to clothesline him. And then Buggy just laughs. It's like, ah, as his head is just like floating above, and Luffy just crashes into a building, destroying it. And then Buggy just kind of turns with his knife and says, "You're not much of a threat, Gamu Gamu." Luffy just like is in the rubble, feet up, and then he just pops up. He's like, "Hey," and Luffy just kind of goes, "Damn," separating into sections. And then Nami appears and kind of like tilts her head to the side, just kind of peeking out, and she just kind of says, how is it possible for such a fight? I feel as though I'm dreaming." And then like Buggy Screamer is starting to wake up, and he says, "Hey, did you just see that?" And one of the guys is like, "Idiot, pretend you're fainted. We have no chance of living if we get caught into a fight like that." And then basically Buggy just kind of shows like his technique earlier, bar cannon, but instead he has all of his daggers in his hands as he just like fires out his hand. And Luffy sits there and just kind of looks like straight, like you just standing there, and then he just catches the hand, and then Buggy just kind of yells separate as his more of his hand like pops out, and then it slashes at Luffy, cutting him, and then Luffy rolls back, and then Buggy sees him gets up and he's questioned, and while blood is dripping on Luffy's face, he just looks at his hat, and then Luffy just turns and he just says, "You bastard." And Buggy sits there and thinks, "What? So you're pissed that your face is scarred?" And Luffy gets up and saying, "How dare you mess up this hat?" As he holds his straw hat and he sees a little like cut near it. And Buggy's just like, "What?" And Luffy just kind of screams, "This is my treasure. I'll never forgive anyone who messes up this hat." And then Nami just kind of like thinks as she kind of like says, still hiding in the corner. And she kind of thinks back to Luffy saying, "I got this hat ages ago from a friend." And Nami starts to think, I thought he was the type of guy who wasn't bothered by anything. But he looks really furious now. As like nervous sweat is beating and she's just kinda like dot 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 dot. And then Buggy's also just going dot 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 before he says, "Is a hat that precious to you?" And then Luffy says, "Yeah, you bastard." And then you notice his hand is in the background, just lurk, kind of like lurching, going closer with like his all the daggers still in his hands. And as I said, this is kind of the advantage of like Buggy's Delph Fruit. We get to see more of it. Whereas like yeah, with a separated body, he still has complete control of his entire body. So he's able to pull stuff like this and kind of like hide around his body, and then use them at any point to attack. So then, Buggy fires off a dagger to get Luffy to duck as he sends the rest of his hand with the three daggers flying to his hat. And then Buggy yells, "If it's that precious to you, then why don't you protect it properly?" As the hand just pierces that, like the top of the hat. And Luffy just sits there and just shocked as he just kind of sees the hat like flying away a little bit with the knife. All three of the daggers just piercing it. And then he remembers Shanks giving young Luffy the hat, saying, "This hat is my gift to you." And then Buggy's just holding up the hat in his hands as it like attached back to himself. And he just goes, "Gah, what sort of treasure is this? Rag like hat?" And then you just see Luffy just absolutely just furious as you just hear like Buggy continuing just to laugh. And then Nami's shocked. And even his crewmates are all shocked at like what they saw from his captain do. And then again, as like Buggy's holding up the hat in his hand, Luffy just comes right back to Shanks saying, "This is my favorite hat, you know. When you become a great pirate in the future, you'll return that hat to me." And that's kind of like Luffy thinking back to as he's just sprinting as fast as he can. And then he yelled, "That's the hat I swore myself to with Shanks." And Buggy's like, "What? This is Shanks' hat. I thought it looked familiar." And he just kind of yelled, "Me and that guy used to be in the same pirate ship." And he spits on the hat. And he's like, "To rephrase that, he was my comrade when we were still pirate trainees." And Luffy is just continuing to be furious as he just like sees his hat get spit on. So yeah, so interesting lore drop. Buggy used to be on the same crew with Red Hair Shanks. What's the crew? You'll only find out later. And then Luffy yells, "Shanks is a great man. You say that he was your comrade?" And Buggy's just shocked. And he just yells, "Bar Bar escape." And then Luffy hits him in the stomach as he yells, "Don't compare yourself with him." As he just fires into like his ribs. And you see the Buggy's faces, he's just in pain. Or wait, is that his ribs? I don't think that's his. Oh wait, he kicked him in the balls. I'm wrong. I'm an idiot. No, he kicked him dead in the balls. Like full crack, everything. Wait, what the fuck? Damn it, there you go. That'll be edited out. But no, it's like you see like Bucky get kicked absolutely in the balls. And you see like blood just like flying out, and he's just like in pain. I mean, I would be too. Imagine like that like running start, full leg just stretch, kicked right to the balls. That would fucking hurt. Man, I know his crewmates are probably looking at him and being like, "Man, what did he do to make him that mad?" So yeah, but that's the end of the chapter. And before I get to kind of review, I just want to have like a little announcement real quick. So this was the book. Yeah, so it is officially released. Chapter 1 is officially out on Royal Road. And I already figured out that I'll be releasing chapters every Friday. So make sure if you decide to want to go read it, link will be in the description. Link will be on the About page. And link will also be on the TikTok, which is APBeans 2. So, on to base my view of the chapter. Overall, I really enjoyed this chapter. I enjoyed it. I like the fact of just kind of like it's kind of the fights going on, and also just kind of like the fact just like the indirect like lore you kind of get from it, where it's just kind of like Buggy and Shanks used to be on like the same crew. I kind of like that, and I also just kind of like enjoy just kind of like the difference between like Devil Fruit users and just kind of like how creative they can be, because Luffy's using his stretched limbs throughout the fight to kind of like reposition himself and move around the field. Like for example, when he did Gomu Gomu Scythe, Luffy used it because he grabbed at a window, and he used the window as his new point as he just kind of like fires himself up into it. And then Buggy with his like his bar fruit is able to just pop off his body, so he's able to defend against it because Luffy aimed for the head, and Luffy remembers this. It's a layered detail because Buggy is also able to use his bar fruit to fire off his hands, and then he's able to still have his hand be the point, so he's able to separate further of his body. That's what it was. That was able to attack Luffy, and then Buggy again separated to the point where he had only his wrist. So Buggy was able to reposition that wrist behind Luffy to be able to pull off what he did to destroy the hat, or at least really damage the hat, which is just he threw one of the daggers and then he sent the rest of his hand flying to pierce it, because he knew for a fact that like if he needs one knife to dodge, Luffy naturally just dodge more like sporadically. So he knew for a fact, oh, the hat will be open. So that's what he wanted to do. And then Buggy, as like Luffy's repairing, Buggy notices that Luffy is again setting up that Gomu Gomu Scythe. So that's why Buggy immediately goes bar escape. However, Luffy, with his leg, stretched it to kick him directly in the balls. Which again, not a little dirty, but at the same time, this man did get his hat destroyed. So I would say anything goes, really. But yeah, overall, like the chapter. I enjoy this, and overall, hopefully, we Luffy basically get his get back on Buggy for destroying his hat. Make sure to like, subscribe. As I said before, it really helps me out. And also, as I said, check out the book on Royal Road, and make sure to also check out my TikTok, AP Bean Sue. And I am signing off. Later, everyone.